Welcome to episode 33 of Two Dudes in a Movie. I'm here with...
AJ Ferguson.
And Paul Tabling.
I forgot to introduce myself. I'm Luke Parrish. This is our first episode of 2020.
Uh-oh.
Excuse me. Still writing 2019 on all my papers.
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah, but man, this is exciting. Do you guys have any New Year's resolutions for the podcast or anything?
I mean, I don't have any, I haven't been into the whole New Year's resolution thing since I was 10 because mine was I've always been a fat kid, so it's always I'm going to get in shape this year. And then a weekend, I was like, screw it.
You're always just, I'm comfy. It's whatever.
But my wife and I kind of decided we're both going to get into some new hobbies. And she decided she's going to get into soap making.
Nice.
Hey,
and
I will buy that from her. I love homemade soap.
Hey, she's still researching it a little bit, but I'm gonna get more into comic books.
There you go.
Try to
Sweet.
Get a little collection going.
Yeah,
so
that's awesome.
Any recommendations? Hit me up.
Yeah, I can say I already got some of the Darth Vader ones that you were talking about. So
can't help you there, dude.
It's okay.
Luke's the comic expert.
That's
right. Yeah.
AJ, you got anything? For yourself or the podcast?
Dude, I don't know. I haven't really honestly thought about it that much.
I got one.
Okay, here we go.
Yeah. My New Year's resolution for I didn't do one for myself, but it's for the podcast. I'm going to be more critical of the movies. I'm gonna sit down and I'm gonna think about it more and more, score it how it probably actually is, which I have been. But sit down and really, really think about it. And sure, there's probably a movie where I'm like, oh, I love this movie, but I'm gonna give it, each section a 5 maybe.
Yeah,
but
I'll agree with that.
Yeah.
I'm gonna try to get a little bit better, and I feel like I even may have done that with this movie. I watched it last night with my wife, who that's another thing. I made a deal with her to where she's gonna watch all the Two Dudes in movies with me.
Nice.
Because last year she watched none of them.
Nice.
But yeah, I'm gonna try to be more critical as well, and I feel like I actually achieved that a little bit.
I did too.
Wow.
So
I did not with this movie. I was very subjective with this.
I think we know.
Chris Nolan.
I could have told you that coming into it.
I was very subjective with this movie, but no, I think that's a good suggestion for us because the temptation is we pick movies that we like.
Yeah.
Or movies that we haven't seen in a long time, but we remember liking, and we're like, oh yeah, it's pretty good. And we're not really honest with ourselves, not really honest with the movie. So it's easy for people to really, really talk up a movie, you know. But
yeah.
I think it's harder to bash on a little bit.
Yeah. But. Well, what have you guys been watching?
Go ahead, Paul.
All right. So I actually watched a few things. I've continuing to watch The Cosby Show. Love that stuff. I started The Morning Show, which is on Apple TV Plus with Steve Carell and Jennifer Aniston and Reese Witherspoon. It actually is a really interesting show.
Callie likes it a lot. She's watching without me.
Yeah, I think it's from being on not this level of production stuff, but I do sound and lighting and stuff for different events and things like that. But to see kind of how the inner workings of a TV show is really interesting to me. I also watched the Kevin Hart documentary that's on Netflix. I'm a huge fan of his, and it was actually really, really good. I binged it. It's 6 30-minute episodes, and I watched the whole thing.
Really
yeah.
Cool.
And then I also watched The Irishman.
Oh, yeah.
Finally.
How was it?
I liked it quite a bit. Not the moment it was over. When it was over, I was like, okay.
So the ending's not satisfying?
Well,
anticlimactic, maybe?
It's anticlimactic, but it's one of those that you really have to and maybe it's just from being on doing this show, I had to really think about, okay, what is this movie actually about? What was and I'll talk about it here a little bit because it might have snuck into my top 25 or top 5 of 2019.
Nice.
Bro.
So
nice.
But yeah, I'll talk a little bit more in detail on that.
So I watched this movie. I watched Richard Jewell. I went into the theater and watched that this week. It was really good. I really liked it a lot. Clint Eastwood, man, he just makes really, really good movies. I watched a movie called Inferno. It's a Dan Brown novel. It's the Robert Langdon series with Da Vinci Code and all that stuff. So I finished that book over Christmas break, and then I borrowed that movie from Paul and watched it. It's okay. It's not quite as good as the book. I wouldn't say it's as good as the other two movies. I don't think. I think it's the worst of the three movies.
Yeah, my favorite of the movies is Angels and Demons.
Yeah, I agree with that.
What order does it go? Like, let's see, what's the order of the movies?
Da Vinci Code, Angels and Demons, and then Inferno.
Oh, so
Angels and Demons
one.
was the first book.
Yeah.
So they kind of did those backwards. And then they skipped a book that they didn't make a movie about that exists in between Da Vinci Code and Inferno. So it's kind of all a mess. And there's really no overarching storyline. Like, each book is really like an element. So.
Sounds just as confusing as the movies.
No. That's what I'm saying. The overall storyline, there's no like carryover at all.
Oh, yeah.
It's like just the same character. It's kind of like Indiana Jones in the sense of like,
here's a new journey.
Yeah, it's like the same character, but totally random story, like not connected at all. And then I watched a really terrible romantic movie called Upside Down. Have y'all seen this movie?
Upside Down.
It's where there's two worlds with opposite gravities.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then like they like meet in the middle, and it's like one person from like down below, one person from like up below.
No.
Is it animated?
No, it's a romantic.
Sounds like it would be.
Sounds like an animated.
It's a live action. It's Kristen Dunst, whatever her name.
Oh,
is.
that's a telltale sign right there.
And I forget the dude's name, but dude, it was awful.
Who picked this movie?
Awful. Oh,
Can you tell?
100%. I picked it. No, Callie picked it.
Oh, it's like
no, Callie picked it.
wow.
So basically, I made her watch all the Star Wars movies. So this was my punishment for that.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So I got
that makes sense.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
anyway,
She like it?
yeah. I mean, she likes that movie. That's like one of her favorite movies.
Oh, okay.
Like that's like in the closet of like there's like her shelf and then like my 7 shelves. She has like the one shelf and that's like one of her like, movies that she has in there.
Well, how old is this movie? It's
2011, 2012.
Okay, so older-ish.
It's a little bit older. It was pretty like cool idea, like ish.
I mean, it's neat. Yeah.
At the beginning, there's a lot of like exposition. I was like, this is way too much exposition for like a romantic movie.
When you have to explain your movie, it's like,
there's a little bit of that going on, but like it was okay. There were like several things I was like, yeah, I'm out. This is dumb, but it was okay. Like
that's great.
It wasn't as bad. I'm pooping on it probably a little too much right now, but
okay.
It's not. I don't recommend it. If you like romantic movies, check it out. But
put that on the blacklist.
Yeah, it's not. It's. I own it, but it's not me owning it. It was like my wife owned it before we got married.
Before you got married? Yeah.
So,
It's naturally,
it's in my closet.
Naturally, it's yours now, though.
Not part of it, yeah. So.
Okay.
Richard Jewell, great movie. I'll probably talk about that one here in a second, actually. Too.
So I have a big goose egg for mine.
Nice.
I've been very busy between New Year's and we've had feels like 100 games.
Mm-hmm. Have you ever actually said that you worked for the Thunder?
I work for the Oklahoma City Thunder.
Yeah, there we go.
That's why Luke's so busy.
That's why Luke
right now.
That's why Luke ditches us all the time.
Yeah,
the one time, but that wasn't even for the Thunder.
We have to work around my schedule sometimes.
It's all good.
But yeah, I guess I watched some Scrubs last night. Danielle and I are almost done with that.
You go.
It's my 100th time through, and it's our first.
Are you still watching Rebels?
Whenever I can.
Whenever you can. I'm still watching Rebels like ish.
I'm not even halfway through season 1. I'm just like trying to.
Dang.
What's like one episode a week?
I'm trying to knock it out. I'm almost done with season 3.
I'm just getting ready now for February 17th.
Right when Clone Wars
season 7 comes out.
Yeah, I'm trying to rewatch Clone Wars between now and then. It's not gonna happen.
No.
It's such a long show.
I thought I could watch all Star Wars.
I might watch like the last season, like season 6.
I'll for sure watch season.
Like the half season 6, that they
did. Yeah, we'll see.
Okay.
But yeah, dude, Disney Plus feels like it's not worth my money right now.
Well, now the Mandalorian's over. I had the same thought.
I was like, I was so excited for Disney Plus, and now I'm like,
man,
I'll wait till February. Like, I'm not gonna watch anything really between.
So apparently, that's how a lot of people are feeling.
Yeah, really.
Like I read an article or heard somebody say that. Yeah, a lot of people are like, Disney Plus is starting to lose some money because now that Mandalorian's over.
Well, so like,
and I was like, dang.
I understand the people who are like the 1 month at a time people. I just like signed up for the year thing because I was like,
I did the 1 month.
It's cheaper, but like, I totally get it. Like, if I were poor and in college and like had no money, I would totally not have Disney Plus right now. Like, honestly, I probably wouldn't even gotten Disney Plus until right now. Gotten
just so you could binge it.
My free day or month trial or whatever, binge it and get out.
Yeah.
But dude, yeah, like once Clone Wars comes on and all the Marvel stuff comes on and like all that stuff kind of starts rolling together, it'll be worth it.
Yeah. Well, I got the package deal, so it's like I got Hulu and ESPN Plus, so it's like nice. Might as well just keep it.
There's some really good stuff on Hulu. Like Hulu's
that's where we're watching Scrubs right now.
Underrated, bro. Brooklyn Nine-Nine, Community, Seinfeld.
That's what Danielle and I need to watch.
Apparently, a lot of those are getting.
I mean, I've seen most of Brooklyn Nine-Nine, but she hasn't watched it.
NBC's coming out with their own streaming service,
and they're gonna take a lot of
they're going Office, Parks and Rec, Friends, Seinfeld, Community, Brooklyn Nine-Nine, Frasier, 30 Rock. Like, they're going all out.
As much as I love those shows, there's no way I'm getting another.
I'm not paying for NBC. There's no way.
Well, the shows that you mentioned that I care about, I have on DVD.
I own on DVD. Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah.
No doubt. The Seinfeld one hurts my heart a little bit because I love just like watching the random Seinfeld
just get
episodes.
the box set on Blu-ray, man.
Dude, I probably will have to buy
that. I might.
Box series of Seinfeld for sure.
Okay, shall we? Top 5?
Top 5, yeah.
So we're doing top 5 movies in our opinion of 2019 that came out in 2019. So my honorable mentions are Ford versus Ferrari. Really good movie. Did either of y'all see that one?
No.
That was a good movie. I really liked it. Matt Damon and Christian Bale. Far From Home. I liked Far From Home a lot. I thought it wasn't quite as good as the other movies on my list, but I thought that was worthy of a mention.
What was that? Is that like a dog movie?
Far From Home?
Sounds like a dog where a dog like runs away and then finds its way back. And...
Spider-Man?
Oh, Spider-Man Far From Home. Sorry, that was last year. Wow.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
It feels like forever ago.
I know.
I thought you were joking.
No,
I
was
was
serious.
joking too. I looked at him. I was like, "What?"
Far From Home. I was sitting here thinking. I was like, was that Harriet Tubman movie?
No. Harriet Tubman was called Harriet, but that was actually pretty good. That's really underrated. Far From Home, Spider-Man Far From Home. That was a really good movie. I liked that one a lot. And then my other honorable mention almost made the list, didn't quite make it. Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Ooh,
Like that one a lot.
Wow.
I only saw it once. I probably need to rewatch it, honestly. But
Now that you know the Manson murder stuff.
Yeah, and now that I know that, now I can
and
have
you're more of a Tarantino fan.
a little bit more of a Tarantino fan now. So.
Okay.
I'm sure that was going to be on y'all's top 5s, but I like that movie.
A little
bit. It was good. It wasn't great, but it was good for me.
Whoa.
Okay. My honorable mentions are Joker.
Nice.
Ooh.
Yeah, so I really like that movie, but I sat down and was like, so this one's not like, I'm not being critical or anything, like, which one's going to win the Oscar? Because I'm sure we'll do like
we might do something.
Something for the Oscars in a little bit,
that'd be fun.
Like, what do we actually think is going to win the Oscar, like, you know, objectively and all that. But this is a more subjective list. So I enjoyed Joker a lot. I just didn't, like, blow myself. I didn't walk out of the theater just like, that was great. Marriage Story is one of my honorable mentions.
Nice.
Yeah,
I haven't seen that one yet.
The Netflix movie.
I haven't watched it.
It's a strange watch, but I was like, man, he's just like that. It's like, if this was like cinematic elements, it'd be like 100 just by like acting and all that, like really good acting. And then Rise of Skywalker is one of my honorable mentions.
Nice.
Ooh, all right.
Yeah. Just wait till we get to the top 5.
Nice.
Oh boy. All right. So I realized while compiling this list, I saw 10 movies that were 2019 movies. So I just did all 10. Nice. But I'm going to go through the bottom 5 real quick.
Okay.
10 was Terminator. 9 was Captain Marvel. 8 was Angels.
Captain Marvel was 2019?
February, right?
Yeah.
March or something.
March, yeah.
That was like forever ago.
8 was Angel Has Fallen. 7 was Far From Home, the dog movie. And then 6 was John Wick 3.
Nice.
Parabellum.
Nice.
Own it? Haven't watched it yet.
I haven't seen that one.
It's good. It's a good one.
Well, we'll watch the first one here in a couple of weeks. We'll get AJ on the train.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I'm excited to watch John Wick. My number 5 is Richard Jewell. So I just saw this on Tuesday, and I didn't really want to include it because it kind of felt like recency bias a little bit, which honestly it probably is a little bit of, but it was really good. Like I left the theater and was like, that was like flipping good movie.
Wow. Because I have absolute no desire to see it.
I agree.
I didn't either, but I was like a Tuesday afternoon. Our kids were getting watched by somebody, and literally we were like, we got $5. Let's go see a movie. And we went, and the only thing that was out really was Jumanji and Richard Jewell. And I was like, I'll just get Jumanji on Redbox for $1 later.
Yeah.
Let's go see Richard Jewell because it's Clint Eastwood. Like, he makes really good movies. So, dude, it was worth my $5. Would I go and pay $20 at the Warren to see it? No. But, man, it was really good. So it's based on the 1996 bombing in Atlanta.
Yeah. Around the Olympics, right?
Yeah, around the Olympics. And this guy finds the bomb, saves a bunch of people's lives. And immediately, he's a hero, national hero. People want to sign book deals. People want to have him on morning shows on national TV and whatever. And he's, like, blown away. He's always been a nobody kind of loser person. And
he's like a security guard,
he's like a security guard. He wants to be a cop, but he can't quite make it and all. He's just super nice guy, great guy. And immediately, the FBI needs someone to blame. And they look at him. They do a little bit more research. He kind of fits this like middle-aged loser, lives with his mom profile of wants to be famous, wants to make a name for himself. And so they blame him. The media blames him, and they ruin his life. and he has this lawyer friend from one of his other dumpy jobs, and the lawyer comes in and like just starts fighting the FBI and like fighting them in the media. But no, and he stands up for him, and Richard Jewell is like, dude, it was a really good movie. Like, I like that movie a lot.
I don't think there's anything that could get me to see it. I just have. Like, it's like Frozen 2 to me. Like,
it's worth your time. It was worth your time.
I'll probably $1 it.
It's worth a Redbox for sure. And then, dude, it was really good. Like, it was better than Ford vs Ferrari in my opinion.
Wow.
And I love Ford vs Ferrari. That was a really good movie.
I mean, obviously it's higher up on your list.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. Like, I love Ford vs Ferrari. Whenever that movie came out, I was like, this is for sure top 5, 2019. And then Richard Jewell was good enough to kick that one out.
Man.
So I like that movie a lot. So if you haven't seen it yet and it's still in the theater, go check it out. If you want to Redbox it. It's definitely worth your time. It's about 2 hours long. Great movie.
Okay. My number 5 is Ready or Not.
What?
Oh, that's the horror movie with the bride who plays the game, has to murder the family or whatever.
Yeah, not terribly, not really horror, but thriller. Yeah, it's the one where she's like,
I remember you telling us about this.
She's marrying into the family,
to kill the person,
and that's the thing. They make their money off of board games, and so at midnight, all the family gets together and they draw a card and they play that game. But there's one card you don't want to get. It's hide and seek, and hide and seek, they try and kill you. If you make it to sunrise, then you win.
You get to marry the person.
Yeah, you already married them, but that's like
alive.
You get to stay alive, and then I don't know. It was just
Is number 5 for you?
Yeah.
Interesting.
It was good.
Wow. Interesting.
Yeah, all the acting was great. Like, I was like on the edge of my seat the whole time, and it was. I think I'm putting it up there just more based off concept than anything. Just
pretty cool idea.
The premise and everything would probably be a 10 for me if we were to ever watch it and rate it. But no, very solid movie. I mean, I recommend it. Like, I'm not like sitting here going like, oh, this stinking movie, but it was a super fun movie, very well made, very interesting. I mean, it's just everyone see it, I guess. But yeah, I don't know. It was one of my favorite movie experiences of the year, if I had to say.
Wow,
gotcha. My number 5 is Irishman. It snuck in there because again, it's a 3.5 hour long movie, so you got to stick with it because it's not like. Well, maybe it is, but it's just a much longer version than your typical mobster movie.
Yeah.
Where there's like, this movie is very much a lot of explanation.
Yeah.
Like I would say maybe whole first hour is a setup of explanation because it's focused around Robert De Niro's character, Frank something or other. I can't remember his last name.
Sinatra.
It's, I believe, loosely based on actual people, because I mean, Al Pacino's character is Jimmy Hoffa. One of my favorite comedians right now, Sebastian Maniscalco, plays Joe Gallo. I mean, so it's I believe based on real mob bosses and stuff like that. But Robert De Niro's character is like one of the soldiers of like the group, who was actually a soldier in World War II. And you see, they actually did a really good like CGI de-aging of him that I think looked good for like a 30-second clip, but it's like you really see his like whole life story where he just like it is basically just following orders, because he just had that mentality from being a soldier in World War II to where he just, because the scene in World War II, he actually like takes Nazis out in like POWs and makes them dig their own grave and kills them.
Wow.
And so like it was because his commanding officer ordered him to do it. So that was like his whole thing throughout his whole life. Because the movie also starts with he's actually telling the story like he's talking to like a documentary film crew, but he's in a nursing home. He's like in his 90s or whatever. And so he's kind of like telling this whole story of how he just by sheer accident happened to meet this crime boss and they become great friends, and he just starts following orders and killing people. And it was just a really interesting way of telling a story that I'd never heard of.
Yeah.
I mean, everybody's heard of Jimmy Hoffa on some level, but nobody really of our age knows who he was and what he did.
Nothing about it, yeah.
And this story was just really educational, honestly, for me, just to know of like what he did and why people hated him and things like that. So it's a really interesting movie if you like mobster type movies, which I really do enjoy them. But I will say it is definitely a hard watch because it's 3.5 hours long.
Is it boring at any point?
It does feel very slow.
Okay.
I really was. I had a temptation to just stop it a couple of times because I was like, man, this is really long. But I was like, no, I'm gonna make myself get all the way through it. And if you do that and you get through it, and like I said earlier, I got to the end of it and I was like, wow, this was not very satisfying. Was this worth 3.5 hours? And then the next day I really thought about it. I was like, what was this movie really about? What's the story? Now, from a cinematic point of it, the acting was great. The directing was great. Yeah. All of the, because I mean, it's set in the 60s, all of the cars and wardrobe and all this stuff. Like, I really love how they really stayed true to that stuff. So that would get, a 8 or a 9 or something for me. So that was a cool part of it. But if you do watch this movie, just give it a chance and just really think about the underlying parts of it. Like, if you're just wanting to watch mobsters blow each other up and kill each other, this movie's not going to be for you.
Right.
So.
Okay.
Interesting.
Good to know. I feel like everyone has to watch because everyone's like, oh, The Irishman. But
I mean, it really was well acted. Robert De Niro, Joe Pesci, and Al Pacino did an amazing job of their portrayal of these characters. And I would say Scorsese did a great job directing. And if he wrote the story, I don't know. I don't feel like this movie needed to be 3.5 hours long.
Yeah. So there's parts that could have been cut.
I feel like this story could have been 2.5 easily.
Okay.
And been, whether it would have been a better film, I don't know, but it wouldn't have felt like you were just having to find a time where you could watch a 3.5 hour movie. You know what I mean?
Right.
So, interesting movie. It did sneak into my top 5. I feel like I may have bashed on it a little bit, but that was just to educate people who might be like, oh yeah, I want to watch that movie. So just kind of buckle in and get through it. I mean, if you do have to like plan up, like, all right, I'm going to watch half of it now and half of it later, that's fine. But I would say if you get that urge to stop it and not finish it, go ahead and finish it.
Okay.
And then just think about it later. And then, if you hate it later, then that's fine.
Okay. AJ, what you got?
My number 4 is Joker.
Oh, sweet.
Nice.
I like this movie a lot. I did appreciate a lot of the cinematic things that happen in this movie, a lot of the different kind of risks that they took making this movie. I think it's a little bit overrated in my opinion, as far as it's like the greatest thing ever or whatever. I don't think it's as revolutionary as some people think it is. I don't think it's the garbage that some people think it is too. I think it's somewhere in the middle. So for me, I think it's a quality movie. Makes my top 5 2019. It has to be in the top 5 2019 for me at least. But it's not quite as good as the other movies I have up there.
Okay. My number 4 is Ad Astra.
Yeah.
Brad Pitt space movie. This movie was like, I don't know. I really like space movies. So like, The Martian, Interstellar, those are right up my alley. Some sci-fi stuff, and this is those. This is like this is a space movie, but more on the interstellar side of things, where you got some higher tech sci-fi themes in it. And it's more about the psychology of Brad Pitt's character, and of course, any movie Brad Pitt's in, he's great. It's kind of like Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Just you enjoy the character more than the story, probably. And this is one of those movies, and the story's interesting. His dad was a very like heroic, like well-liked astronaut that went on this mission. I can't exactly remember what it was to, but he was gonna go figure out something about black holes if I can remember correctly. And they figure out that he's alive, and they send Brad Pitt on pretty much a rescue mission to go get his dad, because Brad Pitt is also a good astronaut. But no, the soundtrack to this movie is great, and of course I said like Brad Pitt's acting is good. The story is interesting.
Tommy Lee Jones, right?
Yeah, Tommy Lee Jones. The movie's not like terribly long or anything. It was a good watch. I went and watched it. It's showbiz. Danielle really liked it too. So
nice.
I was like, man,
I never got around to seeing that. I
didn't either.
I need to watch it.
Definitely pick it up at some point. It's I think it's worth your time.
All right, so my number 4 that I think is also definitely worth your time is Rise of Skywalker.
Woo! It is, for sure.
So
Great movie.
Not going to talk too much about it because we also need to
We spent a month on it.
Yeah, we spent quite a lot of time, but we also need to get Luke to his next soccer game. So
yeah, if you want to listen to that episode, it's about 2.5 hours long.
It's almost 3 hours long.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you have...
we talk about Rise of Skywalker for what, two-ish of the 2.5?
Then you have my bonus features. And then we still talk about a little bit the episode afterwards. And
my
a lot of time.
My number 3 is Knives Out.
Ooh.
Oh, yeah.
I like this movie a lot. Did either of y'all see it?
I haven't seen it yet, but
Dude,
from what I've seen
really
and
good.
all that, I can respect this being
really, really good.
I've heard they're already like talking about doing a second one.
Well, they are.
I think they're going to do another one with Daniel Craig's character and everything. Like, I thought it was genius from a lot of different perspectives of some of the decisions they made. Like, it was not a comedy, but there are moments of like really funny scenes. Daniel Craig's accent is like, you can't take him seriously, and he can't really take himself seriously, but it works. Like, it's weird. The mystery side of things, I love mysteries. I love mystery movies, shows, books, whatever. I'm all in. I think it's really a fascinating genre, and for me, this was kind of a typical Sherlock Holmes mystery, whatever, Murder on the Orient Express kind of movie.
Yeah.
But with a twist in the middle, and I don't want to spoil it for anybody. And then another twist at the end. So it was like you get the reveal twice. It was really clever, really well done. No, I'm just saying, like, in a typical mystery movie, it's just building, reveal, and it's over. Right? This one, it's like hour 15 in, and you're like, holy cow, why did they just tell us that? And you're like starting to figure that out.
Yeah.
And it becomes like a 2-part mystery and thing. It is awesome. I thought it was really well done, really well crafted, well written. Ryan Johnson gets a lot of flack from a lot of people, and you know, rightfully so for that one movie. But he's made some other good other movies that have been really good. And
Other than that, he's a great director,
and this is one of them.
I have no problem with him.
Yeah, he just struggled in that role. I
want to see Knives Out. But I've heard a lot of people talk about the cinematography in it.
Yeah,
that's something I'm really interested to see.
The cinematic elements throughout that movie are just really high quality. So good movie, great movie.
My number 3 is Avengers Endgame.
Nice.
Yeah, that man. I guess this made it up there just because it was to me it was just an incredibly like solid movie, like almost 10 out of 10 in every category, and I went and saw it 4 times in theaters, so obviously I have some affection for it.
Yeah.
Maybe if you're gonna laugh, cry, the whole shebang, and as weird as the time travel stuff might be, it's like I'm like it makes sense in the movie, why not?
Yeah.
But no, I think that was just a perfect conclusion to what a 2022 film. Setup, and I think they executed it perfectly. I had no that's something I mentioned. I think I mentioned last week, like how everyone's upset about this fan service in 9, but that's all Endgame was fan service,
no doubt.
And I'm like, that's all I wanted, like freaking Cap getting Mjolnir and everything in it, just like the way Iron Man died, that was perfect, and everyone got their moment. Dude, if you haven't seen Endgame, I'm gonna punch you through this mic. But no, yeah.
Dude, I was talking about Rise of Skywalker today with my students, and they were all like, "Don't talk about it." And I was like, "Y'all haven't seen it. It's been out for 3 weeks." And they're like, "No, I haven't seen it yet."
Christmas
break. It's Christmas break.
No
y'all not gonna
kidding.
see this. And they were so mad at me. And I was like, "I can't talk about this in front of y'all." They were like, "No, you can't talk." And I was like,
"That's hilarious."
I have a bunch of yeah. No, it was pretty funny because they were like, "I haven't seen it yet." And I was like, "What'd y'all do? Watch Frozen 2?" They're like, "Yes." I was like, "That's y'all's problem."
Tell their parents to step their game up, take them to the movies.
Well, if you go to the movies, choose Star Wars. Don't choose Frozen 2. That's up to you, man.
That's a terrible choice.
Very much so.
Number 3?
My number 3 is Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Oh, whoa.
I love this movie. I unfortunately haven't bought it yet. I need to do that.
Come on, man.
Because I know.
20 extra.
How long until it's on Netflix?
Minutes.
Oh, probably a long time.
I bet Netflix gets it like real soon. They have like everything else Tarantino's done.
Well, anyway, I don't know. Who knows? Netflix is dying soon.
No, it's not.
It's got The Witcher now, baby.
They're going all in on the Netflix original stuff.
That's true. But yeah, I really enjoy this movie. I mean, we had an episode on this, 18 episodes ago, so feel free to...
That was one of your first ones.
That was
my first one. Yeah, my first episode was this movie.
A lot has changed since then.
Dude, that was a long time ago.
So yeah, go check that out for our thoughts. But I really enjoy this movie. I think I know where Luke's gonna have this movie. So yeah.
Dang, I forgot to put it on my honorable mention list.
Oh,
Darn.
My number 2 is Rise of Skywalker.
Nice.
I like this movie a lot. I've already talked about it for far too long. Great movie. Really appreciated it. I thought objectively, was it the second best movie this year? Probably not. In my heart,
absolutely.
100%. 100% it's number 2. So that's
okay.
All the objective stuff we were talking about earlier. I like it. I'm for it. When it comes to Star Wars, bro, it's just personal.
It's
special place in the heart.
Can't not put it number 2.
In that special hot.
My number 2 is Jojo Rabbit.
Oh yes,
dude,
I thought you were gonna include this movie.
Jojo Rabbit.
Yeah.
Dude.
Very good movie. I don't know if you guys watched the Golden Globes last night, but it was in about almost every category, it felt like.
Did it win any?
No, I don't think. Well, no. It won one, I think, maybe.
Oh, okay.
I thought I read this morning that it didn't win any, but
I know it was in a lot. Even the child actor, he was up for Best Actor.
Dang.
Yeah, like that movie is very good. The whole theme throughout of just don't hate people.
Yeah.
It's a good message, I guess, and like the way they parody like Nazis and all that's great. The humor in it's good. Taika Waititi kills it as Hitler. Like, man,
that guy is so weird. He's such a weird person.
Very solid movie.
So a sentence you wouldn't have thought you would have heard. It's like YTD kills as Hitler.
Yeah.
What?
He's been the best
gosh.
iteration of Hitler. But no, that movie is just very good. I think that.
How do you even think of that idea? Like, you're just laying in bed one night, you're like, oh, I got the perfect movie idea.
I mean, he's the one that came out with the movie, like the comedy about vampires that are all roommates in like New Zealand or whatever.
Oh, really? That was
yeah.
him?
What We Do in the Shadows.
Yeah, you told me about that movie a lot before. Yeah.
Yeah, but no, I highly recommend this movie. It's almost was my number 1.
I will. I'll probably Redbox this one. I'll probably Redbox Ad Astra. That'll probably be. And we'll see where it goes from there. But I want to watch them because you rank them so highly.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
Number 2
is Endgame. For the same reason you
put Endgame.
Yeah.
Below.
Yeah.
But no, Endgame's your number 1 movie of all time.
How does that make sense?
Yeah.
Does that mean that the other one is number 1 all time?
Maybe.
Oh my god.
Okay, so
things are getting weird.
That is a radical change. Because I know what your number 1 is now. But
here we go. Here's my explanation because I knew you guys were going to bring this up.
Yeah.
So I kind of, again, maybe a little subject, like kind of like you said, with Star Wars and everything.
Yeah,
it's all there. Does this other movie maybe edge it out? It's a maybe, but like we're talking about like that's the top 25 of all time.
No,
I'm talking about this is 2019. What my number 1 is, I feel, and if for those of you who are listening and been listening, you probably already know, I feel like this next movie is an all around better movie.
So are you being more like objective in your top 5 here? Or are you being
but
more
subjective
like...
in the top 25? I understand.
Yeah.
I see where
that's
going.
more where I'm kind of going.
Okay.
I got you. My number 1 is Endgame. So
hey,
Marvel, Star Wars, all the way, baby.
Dude, yeah.
Disney.
Yeah.
Guy who's gonna cancel his Disney Plus account.
Dude, I actually haven't watched Endgame yet. That'll probably the next thing I watch on Disney Plus will be Endgame. So I forgot that's on Disney Plus.
Not The World According to Jeff Goldblum?
No, definitely not. I am not a Jeff
great
Goldblum.
show.
You've been watching
I know
that?
you guys
Oh,
like
yeah.
that show.
Good.
I don't like
love
that.
Oh, it's so good. Danielle today was like, hey, we should watch some more The World According.
Yeah.
I was like, thank you, Danielle.
The bikes one,
Yeah.
the barbecue one. I'm in. That's such a good show.
Yeah.
I don't like
Check
Jeff Goldblum
out.
that much.
Well, you
You
associate
also-
him with Ragnarok.
Oh yeah.
I just don't like him that much.
What
And I
about
don't want to listen to
Jurassic
him
Park?
talk about random junk that he likes.
Oh, he's so cool.
It's good, man. Anyway,
Anyway, that is way off topic. My number 1 is Avengers Endgame because it was the best movie of 2019. It broke the all-time box office record for most dollars earned for a movie.
Yeah, way to
It
go.
was literally the most dramatic cinematic accomplishment of all time. Literally, they took a 10-year series and shoved it into one movie, and it worked. And they took 50 characters that we all like and that all needed screen time, and it worked, right? They did all these amazing things. So we talked about Endgame a lot in April. I think.
Yeah.
When it came out, but we talked about it a lot. But for me,
Yeah, listen to that episode.
it was the best movie of 2019. Honestly, I don't know if it was that close for me personally. Like, I feel like the gap between it and Rise of Skywalker is pretty big. And then the next level down from that, I think, is pretty big too.
Richard Jewell, yeah.
Richard Jewell is like down here somewhere, and then you have like Joker, Knives Out in here somewhere, and then like Rise of Skywalker, and then like Endgame's like up there somewhere.
Okay. They're in the heavens,
dude.
They're in the heavens.
Like,
and you got like Purgatory.
I don't know if we would
with
give it
Iron Man
like,
and Black Widow.
Yeah.
Man, it's such a good movie. Number one for you is
Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Woo!
So, man, two of my favorite actors. And, man, do they act their butts off in this movie. Golly, I love it. And then...
And it got old Braddy the Golden Globe
it
last night.
It did. I hope he gets that Oscar.
Did Tarantino win last night?
It got Best Screenplay.
Yeah.
It got...
It won Best Screenplay?
Yep, Best Screenplay.
It won't win Best Screenplay in the Oscars.
It got Best Supporting Actor.
Yep.
Then it got one more, I want to say.
It was like was it the best screenplay for, it got something for like, and it was like it said comedy.
Well, there's two
And I was
categories.
like, wait,
There's
what?
Best this in a drama and then Best this in a comedy or musical.
Yeah.
There's
and I was like, wait.
They split the Best Picture into two categories, basically.
Yeah. I've never really.
Which is weird. I'm
That's
like,
dumb.
just who did the best acting in the movie?
That's stupid.
I've never really dove into the Golden Globes.
Yeah, Golden Globes are dumb.
But no, such a good movie. Like, their performances carry it. Obviously, I'm interested. I love like the Hollywood, like the old school, like just how the things work. And I love my favorite scene probably of this year is Leonardo DiCaprio in his trailer, like yelling at himself to like do better and all that.
Have you seen the GIFs of those going around?
Oh yeah.
Those are so good.
Yeah, no, it's just so good. And then like so I'm invested in the story. Then I think it's also a good like buddy story between him and Brad Pitt. And then you have the overarching like Manson murders. But man, that movie just hits every beat for me.
Nice.
Paul,
as does my number one, that
Avengers Endgame twice.
Yeah, Avengers Endgame twice. That's it. It was Joker.
Wow. Okay.
You didn't see that coming?
No. Well, I mean, okay. Whenever you guys were talking about it earlier, I think I kind of guessed it in my head.
Yeah.
Okay. But then I was just like, I don't know. It makes sense.
I mean, like, obviously, for me, like AJ's saying, like his is 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Mine, they're all right there.
Yeah.
Depending on the day, I probably could switch my top 3 of Joker, Endgame, and Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Those have been the best movies for sure for me of 2019. That's why they're top 3. But Joker, I just really enjoy the story, the direction, the risks they took.
Yeah.
I just really like, because I like that it was kind of a bit of a, not rebirth, but like a new emergence for Todd Phillips.
Yeah.
As well as maybe Joaquin Phoenix, who hasn't been in anything that's really been huge
besides
in
her.
a while. I mean, yeah, Her was the last thing I can think of that he was in, but which was not a bad movie. It was also an interesting movie. But this one, like, when I originally thought of Todd Phillips, I always thought of the Hangover trilogy.
Yeah.
Because that was really the only other thing that I know of that he's done. So now to do something completely different, it just for me showed that, his range as a director, Joaquin's range as an actor. I feel like this movie should win Best Picture, Best Actor, Best Director in the Oscars.
Okay.
So will it? Probably not.
It should definitely win Best Performance.
I just wish it would.
Yeah, I'm looking forward for the Oscars.
No doubt. It should definitely win Best Performance. Joaquin Phoenix won last night, didn't he?
He did.
Yeah.
Give a super weird speech afterwards.
Yeah, I heard about that too. But he should for sure.
Me.
He's a weird dude, but he should for sure win. I mean, that was
deservedly so.
I mean, Leonardo DiCaprio is really unfortunate for him because
this year is so stacked.
Yeah, but for me, those are the two that like any other year, Leonardo DiCaprio wins. Like it's
Adam Driver and Marriage Story. Awesome.
Yeah, I haven't seen.
I guess
I haven't seen
that movie, but
I mean, I've heard a lot of other people saying stuff like that too.
Mm-hmm.
Adam Driver in Rise of Skywalker.
Yeah, Ben Solo. Come on. Well, yeah.
Oh man. Anyway, 2019 was awesome, man. That's a really good year.
2019 was a good year.
Good year. People keep talking about cinema's dead, Hollywood's dead, movies are dead. I'm like, man,
2019 was a real resurgence for me.
Quality stuff.
The stuff that's already announced for 2020 has got me so excited.
Oh yeah,
dude. Yeah, it's gonna be good stuff.
I mean, and really, you look at the big conglomeration. They put out how many Disney and their other media outlets, whether it be Star Wars and Marvel, put out 10 blockbuster movies this year.
Isn't that crazy?
Dude, yeah, so they went Marvel, Captain Marvel, Far From Home, Avengers Endgame, Episode 9,
Toy Story 4,
Frozen 2, Toy Story,
2, yeah.
Lion King.
Yeah, so I mean, like,
it's amazing.
The company to beat, man.
Gosh, dude, it's amazing.
I'm ready for their downfall.
I saw a statistic that they have the number one grossing movie every year for the last like 14 or it was either 14 or 17 years.
That's stupid.
I'll believe it.
Like literally, they've owned the box office. It's insane.
I'll believe it.
I mean, it's been a Marvel.
That's why they're
Marvel
gonna
movie
keep
every
making
year
movies.
Since 20.
Darth Mickey.
Darth Mickey.
You don't like Disney?
Man, I like it for the movies produced. I don't like their control of the box office and the movie realm. It just seems too monopolized.
This is also the guy that doesn't have an
monopolized.
iPhone.
Like Joker's not.
I don't have an iPhone either.
Yeah, so he doesn't.
I'm not conforming to this system.
I'm just saying there were a lot of other good movies made this year that weren't Disney.
Well, yeah. I mean, there's a lot
totally.
that some of us didn't see. I haven't had a chance to see Uncut Gems yet.
I've heard that movie's good.
We haven't seen
Parasite yet. On that one.
Harold said he loved it, that it was amazing.
I've heard mixed reviews.
It's got like a 4.5 on Letterboxd, if I remember correctly.
1917. People are saying it's the best movie of the year.
Well, it won like Best Picture, right? Last night?
I think so.
I think it won Best Picture. I'm like, it hasn't even come out in
yet.
Oklahoma.
I know,
right,
dude? That looks so good. I'm so excited for that movie.
Yeah.
That's what we're doing next week. So if you want to listen to that or watch that movie and listen next week, that's what we're doing.
Watch Sunday.
Okay, shall we?
Into our review.
Let's get it.
AJ, do you want to introduce the movie? It's your pick.
I think, Paul, you have any information for us?
I've got some information.
Okay, yeah, go for it.
But I also feel like we should start saying whose pick it was. So yeah, AJ, you announce it since it was your pick.
I would like to take credit for this movie before we talk about it, even though you guys are going to get mad and be like, this movie's terrible and it's awful and whatever. It is amazing and I love this movie. It's my number 2 movie of all time. The Prestige by Christopher Nolan, starring Hugh Jackman as Wolverine, Christian Bale as Batman, Scarlett Johansson as Black Widow, Michael Caine as Alfred. So
yeah, that's a very weird movie.
And David Bowie as Nikola Tesla, and Gollum as his assistant.
Yeah, Andy Serkis. Yeah, let's go.
But okay, here we go. Actual details other than what AJ said.
All-star cast.
Synopsis. After a tragic accident, 2 stage magicians engage in a battle to create the ultimate illusion while sacrificing everything they have to outwit each other. Pretty good.
Okay.
Pretty solid.
Years 2006. It was after Batman Begins, for those of you who keep track of Christopher Nolan's movies. 14 years ago.
Golly.
Yeah, director, as we said, Christopher Nolan. Budget, $40 million. In the box office, it made $104 million.
Wow.
So not a huge success, but still made money. You know, we'll give that credit. Ratings: IMDb 8.5, Rotten Tomatoes 76. You know, a little bit less. Metacritic 66. So yeah, there are some details. I did not look this up. I need to start doing it again. I did not see that it won any awards. I don't believe it did.
Not with those scores.
Not with those scores. So yeah, that's like I just said, you know, Christian Bale, Hugh Jackman, Scarlett Johansson, Michael Caine.
Yeah, like I just said, truly all-star cast.
True all-star cast, like
before they were all famous.
Chris Nolan was pretty famous. Hugh Jackman was obviously famous.
Michael Caine's
been famous for.
But like Scarlett Johansson was a relative nobody.
That was about the height of Batman stuff. So
yeah, it was right after Batman Begins.
Right after Batman Begins.
Yeah.
So yeah, but like this was the first of his movie, second of that kind of started to have the same revolving actors. Like Michael Caine's in all of his movies ever since Batman Begins.
Yeah, Christian Bale's in a lot.
Christian Bale's in a lot of them. So yeah, that's the details I have. So, want to jump into idea and premise?
Yes. So the idea/premise is the first section we judge our movies based on. For me, this idea and premise is really interesting because it feels really simple, and yet it's really complicated. So you have two guys that dislike each other for obvious reasons, and literally that's kind of the whole movie, right, in a nutshell. But it obviously gets more and more complicated as the movie goes. And I love the fact that they jump back and forth throughout the movie. The very, very, very...
Between
time. The very beginning of the movie, it's him in a jail cell reading a...
Christian Bale.
Reading a diary. And you're like, okay, this is pretty cool. And then literally the rest of the movie feels like a flashback because it kind of is a flashback, but then they keep going back and forth.
Yeah.
And so I think for me, the premise of the movie being with the magicians and all the different kind of crazy illusions and stuff that's happening, but also like hyper-realism in the drama between characters and between the people's lives and all the different... Like, there's just so many moving parts and so many different things that are kind of being tossed around. I think it's really, really, really interesting. And it's classic Christopher Nolan to have so many things happening at the same time and to make it feel like none of them go together, really, and then kind of bring them all together in the end. So for me, I gave this section a 10 out of 10. I thought it was so interesting. There's been a lot of movies that have been made recently with magicians and people like that, and they kind of do, what's it called? The Now You See Me movies?
Yeah.
Yep.
Those are okay. I mean, they're okay. They're not great. The Illusionist, it's okay. It's not quite to this level. To me, it's kind of like when you talk about space movies, like we were talking about this earlier, like Ad Astra, I haven't seen it yet, but basically to me, every other space movie fails against Martian and Interstellar.
Yeah.
Like those are the two best space movies out there, and it's honestly not even that close. For me, this is the best magician movie out there, and it's really not even close. So it feels a little bit kind of like it's been overdone as far as the magicians and that kind of stuff goes, but I did like it a lot. So,
yeah. Luke? I have a section of 9 out of 10. This is my highest rated section.
Ooh.
I really like magic and the magicians and all that. I mean, that's why I like the Now You See movies. Mm-hmm. Now You See Me movies so much, because the idea of two battling magicians, was really entertaining to me, and just the thought of them having like legit, kind of not hate for each other. I guess they kind of hate each other, don't they?
Yeah, yeah, they definitely do.
But having like legit hate for each other, and I don't know. It's just the premise for me was the idea and everything. Magic.
I love the Michael Caine opening the movie with the 3 different phases of a trick.
Yeah.
And I love them closing with that, obviously, at the end. But so for me, like, man, that just, like, they tell you what a magic trick is. They say, are you watching closely? They show you the hats. They show you they just do such a great job at the beginning of the movie of laying those foundational steps that obviously pay off in the end.
That's pretty much the thing of the whole movie is like, you see this now, let's come back to it later.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So I mean, I don't know. I think the way of storytelling in this is very interesting, and I think it's pretty noteworthy.
Yeah. So I gave this section actually a 7, because again, like you said, it is sort of an original idea of, Now You See Me is kind of like they use their magic to like rob banks and do stuff like that, which I do enjoy those movies. I've actually never seen The Illusionist, but my wife always gets those movies mixed up. This one and Illusionist, mainly because they came out like at the same time. But this movie, for me, the idea of, they're two magicians that are battling, and I was like, that just, if you really just look at it at that way, the idea and like set up in the movie and everything like that, for me, I'm just like, that just isn't very interesting to me. It's very much a kind of a, it's like I said, it's very original. That's why I was able to score it so high. But to me, I'm just like, it's something about it of like, it's just like a feud movie.
Yeah, you can do that. You can do that premise with pretty much anything. Right.
So for me, now to set this up a little bit as far as for me, I really do enjoy this movie.
Yeah.
But again, with kind of what Luke said, I feel like I'm going to try and be a little bit more critical, and I may have been a little overly critical, but you'll see some of my reasoning why as we go through. But this was one of the sections that I was like, yes, it is a Chris Nolan movie. And I'll definitely talk more about once I get into some of the higher rated sections that I have for him, and like where he really shines. But I feel like some of his idea and premises don't really shine super, super high for me. So
interesting. The next section is character. We kind of lump all the characters together, at least I do. I don't know. Some people judge movies based on more on the main characters and less on the side characters or whatever. I kind of lump them all together. For me, the main characters in this movie are for sure Borden and Angier. So Hugh Jackman's character and Christian Bale's character.
Yeah.
And then there's like a tier 2 character. For me, it's like Tesla, Cutter, Michael Caine's character.
All the women.
Olivia, Sarah, and then what's the guy's name? Fallon.
Yeah.
So those are kind of the tier 2 characters, and then tier 3 are kind of all the random other people who are kind of around and whatever, and not really whatever. But for me, man, the characters in this movie are what carry the movie-ish. The story for me is interesting, and we'll talk about that obviously here more in plot, but the character feud between Angier and Borden is so fascinating because it goes back and forth, and it's one guy feels like he's in charge for a while and feels like he's in control for a while, and then it shifts. And then he kind of runs with the ball for a little bit, and then it shifts back. And it kind of just goes back and forth and back and forth, and you never really know who has the upper hand. You never even really know who the good guy is and who the bad guy is.
Right.
And at the very end, you kind of feel like one guy's the good guy and one guy's the bad guy, and that flips, and then it flips again. And so that's one of my favorite questions to ask people after they've watched this movie is who's the good guy and who's the bad guy. We can talk about that later if you guys want for meta question stuff. But so for me, for all of those reasons, I gave this section a 10 out of 10. The characters are so dynamic. They're so well-rounded. One of them kind of grows. Borden kind of grows and evolves while Angier kind of devolves and becomes more and more twisted and more evil and more selfish and self-absorbed and kind of becomes a crazy person toward the end of the movie. And so it's fun to watch them both start in different places and end up in different places.
Yeah.
So I think for those reasons, I gave this section a 10 out of 10.
I gave this section a 6 out of 10. To me, the characters came off as very one-dimensional. Like they were this, but they were just different versions of this.
Yeah. Throughout
the whole way. And let me preface this. So I love this movie. It's great. I have no issues. I mean, I'm being very like I said, I'm trying to be critical to what I actually think.
I now have much more appreciation for critics after doing this movie because I was like, I really enjoy this movie. Like as far as I don't remember where I ranked this movie in my top 25, but it was pretty high. But my score is not going to reflect that very well. Yeah. So anyway, sorry to interrupt.
But no, I just felt like the characters were established as this, and then they just maybe like you said they got like a little worse. Like Hugh Jackman's character got more angry and something like that.
Well, I feel like it. Like they set him up this way, and then they twist it, and then that is what leads to their downfall. As one of them rises, the other one falls, and then it switches. And so it's this back and forth kind of. Yeah. They work together, but they're total opposites of each other. Like they're the inverse of the other, if that makes sense. And so to me, that's why it's interesting and dynamic, is because they're not stationary, right? They're always in movement with each other. And the way that one guy behaves affects the way the other guy behaves.
Well, they're constantly trying to one-up each other, and that affects behaviors and stuff. Right. But another note I wrote down is it just feels like it's a bunch of angry dudes. That's including Michael Caine's character. Like, he's not to their level. It's just like he's angry in different ways, like towards a character. Right. But I did say the actors themselves did play him very well. Like Hugh Jackman and Michael Caine, yes. But Hugh Jackman and Christian Bale played the characters beautifully and stuff, and makes it very believable throughout the whole thing. And of course, that's like the characters' motives are true in what's going on. Like if you're someone sitting there trying to one up each other, like. So in that time, it seemed harsh in the ways they were trying to like get at each other. I was like, dang, that's harsh. Yeah. But I think it all just came down to me feeling like they were very, very one-dimensional. So I watched the movie, and then I read a recap of the movie is what I did to try and sit here to do it. I think reading the recap really kind of settled my feelings about the characters. because it got put into words. I got to read it and think about it a little bit more. But yeah, 6.
Yeah. I gave it a 7 for very similar reasons. But I do see your point, AJ, of how they kind of... I never really guess I've looked at characters that, yes, they have movement, but never really looked at how like they decline and things like that. So I understand your point. But I just felt like it was, again, very one note. And yeah, Hugh Jackman, from the moment his wife died to the end of the movie, yeah, he did. He just kind of went downhill from there. And it felt like he just was kind of like an angry teenager at that point.
Yeah. Well, it is neat how they move within their tier, within their category of like personality that they're put in.
Right.
It is interesting. I think that's what AJ's kind of getting at too.
Yeah.
That's what he sees.
And I didn't really think about that, but that's a good point. But for me, a lot of it, like, yeah, it was just, this whole movie is about the rivalry of like you killed my wife, so I'm shoot off your fingers, so then I'm gonna steal your trick, and then I'm gonna do this, and blah, blah, blah. It's the whole back and forth thing. So yeah, but for me, that's not. I don't see that as that was more of a story thing than a character trait, I guess.
Yeah. You feel bad for Christian Bale's character too, because
I feel bad for both of them. At certain points,
because he doesn't think he killed Hugh Jackman's wife in the movie.
Right, and see, that's one of the things that I'm not really sure about. I don't know if I really believe that he didn't know what he did. I'm very much in the camp of Hugh Jackman of like, how can he not know?
Yeah.
Well, so one guy was there the night that she died.
Right.
And the guy who goes to the funeral is the other guy. So he legit doesn't know. So whenever he says, I don't know, he's being honest. Because he
I gotcha.
Know. Because his brother is the one who actually tied the knot.
Right. And see, I mean, that actually probably could add a bit more to character when you really... And see, I didn't think about it like that. If you really think about the kind of dichotomy of the two of them, their two.
So to me, what's interesting about Borden's character is that obviously he lives half a life.
Yeah.
Both of them live half a life. One of them loves Sarah. One of them loves Olivia.
Right.
One of them is like more caring for the daughter than the other because it's actually his daughter.
Yeah.
Well, that's the one that's in prison.
The scene...
Or no, it's not. It's the other one.
Right? I think it's the other one.
See, and that might be a good meta question.
But the scene where him and Sarah are fighting, the scene before she commits suicide, is the guy who loves Olivia is yelling at Sarah,
right?
And the guy who loves Sarah is in the hallway dressed as Fallon, with the daughter, and he takes the daughter's hand and he walks her down the hallway.
Yep.
That scene to me is one of the most heartbreaking scenes in the movie because that is the scene where the father, who cannot be the father in that scene and cannot be the husband in that scene, takes his daughter away from that situation.
Yeah.
That's heartbreaking. Obviously, Sarah commits suicide, which is kind of a really sad part of the story too. So that's why I like Borden's character so much, is because he lives half a life, and so you don't even really appreciate that till it's over. Because when it's over, you're like, oh my gosh, this guy, like how heartbreaking is that to like love a girl, and then only get to spend half your time with her, and then your like twin brother loves this other girl and is having an affair, but like literally, like none of that like makes any sense. And then the reason I love Hugh Jackman's character Angier is because he starts out as a really nice, quiet, calm, loving family man.
Yeah.
Right? And he devolves to the point of all he cares about is himself, his pride. He wants revenge. Right? Yeah. He shoots the guy's fingers off. And that's not enough, right? He follows him one day and he sees his wife and his daughter, and he says he has a wife and a daughter and he gets to live his life normally, and I'm over here by myself doing nothing. And then at one point, he takes the journal from Olivia's character, and she says, this won't bring your wife back. And he says, I don't want my wife. I want his secret.
Yeah.
And at that point, you're like, he is literally not himself anymore. He's completely devolved into something different. Tesla even warns him repeatedly not to use the machine.
To destroy it.
It will destroy him. He says...
what's the cost?
He says, consider the cost. He says, money is no object. He says, but have you considered the cost?
Yeah.
And he kind of looks at him weird, and he doesn't really know what he means. And then I love Tesla's line of when he says, he's sitting on the balcony, and he says, I have my passions too. I have my obsessions too. But I waited too long, and they have come back and they've destroyed me. Right?
Some of the best lines in this movie for me were delivered by him.
Dude.
Yeah, Bowie killed it.
He's so good. About it. So good. And he says, yeah, and they've made me their slave, and they have destroyed me, right? And so that, I mean, it's just so good. Like, so for me, the characters work on so many levels, and I don't think people appreciate them the first time they watch it, because they're, like, at the end, they're like, oh my gosh. Like,
well, at that point, you're too focused on these twists and stuff like
right.
that.
Exactly. You can't even appreciate the character because you're so kind of engulfed in all the plot. So that's kind of where I'm coming from a little bit. Yeah. Like, because they're both good guys and they're both bad guys at different points in the movie. Yeah. And that's interesting.
Well, they're causing each other to be bad guys.
Exactly.
Right.
Okay, exactly. Okay, the plot for me. The plot is not necessarily the strongest section for me, but it is what carries the movie. Because it's so interesting and it's so twisty and it has so many turns and reveals and flashbacks and cuts and all this other stuff that's going on. It's such a well-developed story as far as it's one layer and the next layer and the next layer and the next layer and the next layer. He reads his diary to the very, very end, and he says, even now, you have no idea what's happening. Yeah. And then like 30 minutes later, he gets to the end of that diary. He's like, oh, in your jail cell, you're sitting there reading my diary. And you're like, oh my gosh, they both did that to each other. And it's just like, there's so many moments like that where you're just like, oh my gosh, like what a brilliant move by that character. Obviously, what a brilliant move by the writer of the movie. But so for me, I gave this section a 10 out of 10. Like literally, I honestly tried to knock these sections down a little bit. I just couldn't do it for these first three sections.
Number 2 movie, it makes sense.
I did it for the next section. I knocked it down a couple points. But man, the plot for me is just so strong all the way through. And then the end, like the last 30 minutes are so good, man. Just like literally the reveal and then that reveal and then that reveal and then that reveal and then this twist, and you're like, oh my gosh. And then there's another reveal and you're like, holy cow. Like literally my mind is just like, what the heck? Yeah. So for those reasons, I gave this section a 10 out of 10.
Okay. I gave it a 7 out of 10. I gave it this because, first off, I knocked it because of how, first glance, it is very simple.
Yeah, no doubt.
It's just, two guys trying to one-up each other basically the whole time, find each other's secrets out. But then I kept it at a 7 because of what you just said is how well crafted the simplicity is. It's like it takes a simple plot and then intertwines all these vines through it and makes this stuff complicated, like with the twist, with all the figuring stuff out, all the little things that mean something. The foreshadowing's great at the beginning with the hats. Like it's
the foreshadowing's throughout.
It's showing you a lot of stuff that like later on you're like, oh holy crap, like this is.
Dude,
because they keep giving you answers, but you don't know it's an answer to something.
Right,
no doubt. And when you watch it again, because this is your first time to see it, or multiple? Second time, yeah. So I've watched this movie, I don't know, 15 or 20 times, probably, maybe even more than that. So I love watching it because whenever they show that cutscene at the end of the movie with all of the reasons why he's a twin and all the reasons, and they're explaining everything, like. I'm like, oh yeah, I caught it this time. And I've like seen it all before.
Yeah.
But then throughout the movie, there's other things that aren't in that cutscene that kind of give you that hint anyway. Yeah. And so it's really fun to watch. But the scene where he cuts his finger and the fingers are bleeding, and the wife says, how this is as bad as it was the day it happened.
Yeah, but it's the other guy.
So it literally is the day that it happened for that guy. Which that scene's crazy because like his brother is willing to like do that. But
well, it feels like a big like. Have you ever played those scavenger hunt games on a computer? It's like it's like a scavenger hunt but in movie form. So you're trying to find all the differences.
There's so many puzzles.
Yeah. And you're doing that through the whole movie. So it's a fun movie to watch because of that.
Yeah.
Like what you just said. You're like, oh, I caught it this time.
No doubt.
And that I think I don't know the plot. Sure, I knocked it 3 points to 7, but I think that 7's a very strong 7.
Man, the hats and the cats being like, cloned over and over is crazy. I love the scene whenever he does the trick for the first time with the magic with the ball, and it's dead quiet, and like nobody even knows to clap because it's like so sudden, and then he goes back and he starts talking to Michael Caine's character, and he's like. He's a horrible magician. And then Michael Caine says he's a great magician. He's a horrible showman.
Yeah.
And I was like, dang, like that's so good. So for me, the first hour of the movie almost, up until whenever he does that trick for the first time, is mostly setup, mostly background. And then the next hour is when it like really kind of turns on and unfolds itself into all the different layers. So
yeah.
I see why people knock that section, or why you would knock that section a little bit for that reason, just because it does take a while to kind of get going. But it's just so good. What'd you give it?
So I gave it a 10 out of 10.
Nice.
This, for me, and I feel like this is Chris Nolan's super strong suit, is his plot and his stories and things like that. Yeah, other movies I can definitely argue character, like Interstellar or Inception or other movies like that. But this movie for sure is, for me, an all-plot movie.
No doubt.
And so that's why I gave it a 10 out of 10.
He throws like 15 things in the air.
Oh, yeah.
At the beginning of the movie. And then he shows off juggling all of them.
Right.
And then he lays them all down at the end in order. And you're just like it's literally a magic trick. Like, literally the whole movie is a magic trick.
Yeah, that's why I'm really excited for this new one.
Oh.
Tenet.
Tenet looks legit.
It looks like it could be very similar in certain ways. But yeah, just love the whole thing with the twins, and then because this movie, really the theme to me of this movie is making the simple complex. Because I mean, Cutter, Michael Caine's character, immediately, like you said, the first time he did the transported man, Christian Bale did, Cutter caught it immediately, even though he didn't see it. He says the only way he can do this is if there's a double. And
he's right.
And he's 100% right. It's the same. It's a double because it's a true natural double because it's a twin. Who they've been living the same life. And I kind of go back and forth of, well, why didn't they just each one of them live their own life? Why did it have to be they like flip-flopped? Why did they have to have half of their time with Sarah and they have like one of you just be with Sarah and one of you just be with Olivia, and then but I feel like it wouldn't, because it would give it away. It would be too easy. Then they really would end up being like two completely different people.
One of the most important scenes in the movie is whenever they watch the old man do the trick with the fish.
Yeah.
And he points out in the alleyway afterward, he says, "This is the magic trick."
Yep.
Holding the glass between his legs.
Well, and he says, "This is the illusion." And he says he can barely walk.
Right.
He says, well, that is the magic.
That's
because
the true magic.
Every time he goes in public for the last 30 years or whatever he says, he limps like that.
He looks like a frail old guy, but then
Angier's character, Hugh Jackman's character, says, "I could never do that. I couldn't sacrifice like that." And Borden says that's the only way. Like that's what real magic is. And in that moment, you see the difference between the two. That Borden understands that, and obviously we figure out why later, because he's willing to sacrifice everything for his trick and live half a life just for that one trick.
Yeah.
Hugh Jackman's character feels like the big corporate company, like Apple kind of thing, trying to do all this, and then Christian Bale's character feels like the mom and pop home that does it the best way. And it's all that knows the innards of it, but then you have this giant company, which is Hugh Jackman's character, that's just doing shortcuts, trying to buy their way into doing this, and
I mean it very much is like AJ said Christian Bale's the better magician, but he's not the better showman.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's kind of to your point too, Luke.
Did y'all notice that Hugh Jackman played himself?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes,
well,
I did.
I mean, I that was one of the things that I like really about the cinematic elements is how well they did that, because both of them did that. Christian Bale and Hugh Jackman both, played themselves twice.
Yeah. That's an interesting thing that a lot of people didn't catch the first time they watched it. They just assume that's some random guy who looks just like him. And I was like, that's too perfect.
I know. I caught it right away. I was like, that's definitely you.
Yeah.
I love when he comes out for the first time and he's still kind of drunk, but he looks just like him.
Yeah.
And he stutters around. He talks all weird, and then all of a sudden he just turns it on. You're like, oh.
Yep.
Yeah, that's good. Okay, conflict, tension, urgency. I gave this section a 9. The conflict is so good.
There's the knock,
dude.
Right. Yeah.
The conflict is so good.
Yes.
It is working on all 3 levels. You got internal conflict through the roof, right? He wants to be a good magician. He wants to be a good person, but he can't be both. The personal conflict, obviously, with the family and all the different relationship stuff going on, And then you got the external conflict going on with the other magician, and they're just constantly at war with each other. So literally the conflict is so good. The tension is awesome. Like literally, not throughout the whole movie, but there are like some really just great moments of tension in this movie. The urgency for me is great in moments, but it kind of comes and goes. There's a little bit in the middle. It gets a little slow, kind of droops a little bit. A lot of exposition going on. Kind of a lot of drama that doesn't necessarily need to be there. For me, that's why I gave this section a
9. I also gave this section a 9. I got my notes on it where that's just... there's elements. These 3 elements are throughout the entire movie.
Yeah.
There's never all 3, but there's never just none. I don't think. I think there's some level of each one or of one of those all the way through the movie, and that's what keeps you interested. That's what keeps your anticipation for me. That's what keeps you. Like I said, it keeps you watching, keeps you on the edge of your seat, and like you said, how excited you were. You popped it out of the DVD and whatever you hit replay or rewind, whatever it was.
This is the only movie in my entire life that I've watched a second time.
You did a double feature
immediately.
Literally the second that it ended, I watched it again. It's the only time it's happened in my entire life.
Me also,
dude. It's just so good. Like, so I could talk about this movie forever, but. Paul, what'd you give it?
So I may have to have you guys argue me the other. I gave it a 7.
Okay.
Because I agree 100% that conflict is throughout, but I did not feel any urgency at all, and not much tension. The main scene that I can think of where there's tension is when Angier shoots off his fingers because he does the bullet trick.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, this is super dangerous. People still get killed because, God forbid somebody put a bullet down this, and he does. Like, he does it, and if Fallon wasn't there, he would have killed him.
Yeah.
Like, there's tension there, but other than that, I can't,
I would say both of the water tricks, there's a lot of tension because he's sitting there holding the axe.
That's true.
I think that's a really tense scene, especially the one where she actually does drown.
Yeah.
I think
it's any time both of them are in a room together.
Dude, literally any time that they are on screen together after that scene, for me, is like raw tension.
Okay.
Like whenever he goes and puts the bullet in, and then he comes up on stage and pulls the bird cage thing.
Or when he shows up. So I can understand. Okay, I'll give it the tension.
Whenever he follows him in the street, just so he get Fallon to follow him, and then he follows him down the wrong alleyway, and they dump him. And there's some moments. I agree that it's not throughout, but there's really good moments here and there. The urgency for me is kind of the last 20 or 30 minutes.
Okay.
That's when it's rapid fire. We're kind of going.
Yeah.
Okay.
Until that point, I that's why I knocked it a point, is because I think it's a little bit slow.
Yeah. For me, it's like anytime you see him in jail and his daughter comes. Stuff like that. That's where the urgency was for me. It's he needs to get out. He needs to
honestly.
He needs to find
one of the greatest moments of tension in the whole movie is whenever Angier shows up with the daughter.
Yes.
At the jail.
That's very true.
And you're like,
well, that's when everyone's just like, "What the heck?"
Yeah.
I love the scene whenever Borden's in jail, and he ties the guard's ankle.
Yes.
And he fumbles the thing on purpose, and then he wraps the guy up, and he's like, "Oh!" And he looks around, everybody's cheering for him.
Yeah.
I love that scene. I don't know why I thought about that, but that just kind of came to mind. So for me, the greatest moment of tension in the movie is by far whenever he shows up with the daughter, and he's like, "Angier, you're not afraid to get your hands dirty anymore." He's like, "No," and then he says he rips up the trick and throws it away, and I was like, "Oh, dude, this guy is like."
I love that scene too because he looks at the guard and he says, "If I'm guilty, that's proof that I'm not, because that dude's still alive."
Yeah, if he's alive, I'm not guilty. Yeah. That's a great scene.
I'll agree with the conflict and the tension, but I just didn't feel any urgency. Yeah. So I feel if I did bump it up, I maybe bump up to an 8. Yeah.
I think the urgency is at the end whenever he's in the stage by himself, unloading all the equipment for the last time.
Yeah, he gets shot.
Cutter walks in. And he's like, I did this, and I helped you, and I did all this, and I didn't. He's like, I didn't want to involve you, and then he leaves, and then
I feel like Michael Caine has a scene like that in all of Christopher Nolan's movies, especially Batman,
where he leaves.
Yeah.
I'm not helping you anymore, and all that.
Fallon walks in right behind him, and it ends up not being Fallon. Obviously, ends up being the other guy, but and so that whole scene while he's being hanged at the same time, it's kind of all a countdown. It's kind of all running together.
Okay,
but no, I agree. The urgency is the weakest of the 3 for sure.
I gotcha.
Okay, cinematic elements. I gave this section a 10 out of 10. I don't know, man.
What?
Like, dude,
no way.
Christopher Nolan just makes like flipping good movies, dude.
I'll agree with that.
It's just such good movies. So, are there some little minor problems here and there? Like technically, yeah, for sure. But dude, the acting, the writing, man, some of the stunts, some of the score, like just quality stuff throughout. I gave it 10 out of 10. I want to hear Luke's thoughts though, because I think there are some little nitpicky things that we can talk about.
I give it a 7 out of 10, and it's like it's not something I wrote down is like I don't have any problem with anything.
Yeah,
it's just like all the effects, all the cinematography it's what it needed to be for this movie. There was nothing mind blowing. I do have some like I think they could have done a better job with Hugh Jackman's double.
Yeah, you're right.
Was it Root?
Root. Yeah.
With Root, just because like I don't think they did a good enough job of. I don't know, because he's supposed to be a double, but I don't know if they did a good enough job of. He looked too much.
At the beginning,
like Hugh Jackman, like it still looked like Hugh Jackman. Like
I feel that
you can still be a lookalike, but not like.
Identical twins. Almost.
I just feel like they got like halfway through makeup and are like, he looks fine,
right?
Like that kind of thing. And then of course, if it's 2006, some of the the effects like the lightning and all that other junk. I think that was some of that's a little weak.
It's okay.
But no, I really just knocked it just because there's nothing spectacular. It's not like whenever you watch like Endgame, you're like, oh my gosh, Thanos looks like realistic,
right?
Stuff like that. It's what it needed to be. I think that's deserving of a 7. Like.
Yeah,
that's about that range for me. Like if my mind's not blown, if I'm not like disappointed, then it's like 7 just fits it. It's what this movie didn't need anything crazy because for the most part it was all practical from what I can tell.
Yeah.
Nothing was nuts about the cinematography. I do think, I don't know, maybe the scene at the end was a little weird with all the tanks. That felt a little replicated, like copy paste, which essentially it was like that's what it would be because they're all doubles and it's all essentially the same built tank. But
1899 version of Control V, Control C, Control V.
Yeah, exactly. But no, I think a 7 out of 10 is pretty fitting for it.
Yeah, I actually had a 7 as well, because yes, the directing and the acting and things like that, yes. Amazing, super great, but yeah, a lot of the things, very much like Luke said, I wasn't really like blown away with some of the cinematic elements. Yeah, the machine at the end looks super cool, very very cool looking. Again, 2006, not horrible, not great, but just not a whole lot. And this is another thing that I feel like is a Chris Nolan thing. Like he doesn't really dive into he wants like his acting and writing and directing to shine more than other things.
No doubt.
I mean, other than like an Interstellar and everything, like yeah, the ships look great and things like that, but it's just not. It doesn't seem to be a focus of his.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas, but I mean, like yeah, if we're gonna get super technical, the wardrobes looked great. It looked very fitting for $18.99 or whatever. Mm-hmm. But yeah, acting and directing is what carried this section for me. So yeah, 7, not any lower.
Final score for me is a 49 out of 50. I'm not sure if I'll ever give a 50 out of 50 on this show, but 49 is probably as close as it'll get.
Too scared, bro.
That's a 38 for me. So
that's a 39 for me, and I bumped one up. I had a 38 originally, but you guys convinced me on the conflict, tension, urgency to bump it up a point.
You guys been handing out friggin' 40s,
dude,
and 45s left and right, and then we put out a stinking great movie, and y'all give me a 38.
Okay, no,
new year, new me.
Okay, I respect that. I respect that. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Whenever we watch y'all's movies here next week and the week after that, y'all
be
be dropping 38 and 39s because
I'm gonna be much more critical. Okay. Like we said, Luke said.
I like it.
I do, and I set this up ahead of time. I really do enjoy this movie.
Yeah.
It's a movie that I can't remember where it is on my top 25. I know it's there. It's not number 2, but it's I'm pretty sure it's in my top 10.
Mm-hmm.
But I love this movie, and it really, like I said, makes me appreciate the critic score and audience score. If I was critic scoring this, I gave it a 39. If I'm audience scoring this, yeah, I'm gonna give it a 48, 49. Because it's the plot of this movie is just so enjoyable because I love movies with a twist. It's the same reason I like M. Night Shyamalan movies, things like that. I love me a good twist. That's why I know I would really enjoy Knives Out, like you're saying, things like that. Out, But if I'm scoring on all these sections, it's a 39.
Yeah, because you could be I'm a fan of Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure.
Yeah,
but I'm not like as a fan, I'm gonna be like 45. But critically, that movie's got issues.
Yeah, like I already know. I'm actually really interested to see one of my pick this month as a little setup is Boondock Saints.
Yeah,
I mean, that's my number 3 movie of all time. I'm gonna be really interested to see where I score that movie. It's probably not gonna be super great.
Well, yeah, I'm the same. I'm looking forward to what I think my next movie is like Parasite, which none of us have seen that.
Right.
I don't even know what it's like. I just know it's up for it was up for awards and stuff like that. Everyone's like one of their top movies of 2019. So I don't even know what the heck's going on, but I'm interested to see. But like my picks, I'm looking forward to being critical, I guess, is what I'm saying of my movies.
So AJ, it's not like Luke and I team up on try to bash your movies.
I'm just giving y'all a hard
Stanford
time.
Prison Experiment.
That's a great movie.
I mean, we both like Shutter Island. I mean, come on,
Shutter
man.
Island is a great movie as well.
Y'all
give Shutter Island a 47.
46. I just flipped to it.
You cannot tell me Shutter Island is a better movie than this.
It's not.
It's not.
No.
It's not even close.
But see, again, it's the... I wasn't as critical.
I'm with you. I like it. I'm like it. I honestly, I'm with y'all. I want to be like that too. And I watched this movie on like Thursday or Wednesday, something like that last week. And I just scored it tonight. And I actually, on the way over here, I was like, man, 49 is probably too high. I don't want to do that. But dude, I couldn't think of a section to knock it. So I got some meta questions for y'all. Did you think of any?
I did not.
Okay. Who is the hero and who is the villain?
So
I think it turned out being Hugh Jackman's character was the villain. Because at the end, as soon as you see him at the prison, with his daughter, I was like, man, I hate this guy.
Yeah.
He's a tool.
So I think that's where he turned into the villain for me. Because, throughout the movie, I was with Hugh Jackman's character the whole time. I was like, yes, this guy. Because he was done wrong.
Yeah, for sure.
And then at the end, it flipped for me. I thought Christian Bale's character was the hero. Or the better of the two.
Yes,
and anti-hero.
And Hugh Jackman's character was the worst of the two. So if I had to,
I feel like Borden, who loved Sarah, was the good guy. And then Hugh Jackman. I honestly, yes, I feel like he should have been pissed that his wife got killed, and I probably would have done the same thing. I want to shot the dude's fingers off. But then I feel like if it had been me, that should have been the end of it. Just become, try to outdo him as a musician, not try to ruin his life.
Well, that's a pretty douchey move to by Christian Bale's character's part. Is I don't think there's anything worth hey, that was my brother that killed your wife. It wasn't me. There's two of us. Look, we're here. We're both standing in front of you. I don't think anything's worth that. That just shows his commitment to the trick.
Yeah. But so to answer your question, I feel like the good guy of the movie should be Christian Bale.
Yeah.
So at the very, very end, Christian Bale's character walks out and he says, "I love Sarah, my brother loved Olivia," and he explains everything to him, and that's kind of why while Hugh Jackman's dying, he got shot in the chest and whatever, and he kind of turns to leave, and he feels very satisfied in that. And then he turns back around, and that's when he sees all the different, water
copies.
All the different clones and all the different waters.
Which is weird. He didn't dispose of those.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Why did he keep them?
I don't know.
I think that was just a plot.
Just hey, look how many times he's done this.
So, whenever Angier said he's dying, and Borden's talking about all the sacrifices he's made to be a great magician. And Angier's I've sacrificed too. And Borden is but no, you haven't.
Right.
And then Angier's oh, I've sacrificed. And it cuts back to the scene where he first clones himself and he pulls out the pistol and shoots himself. I was dang.
Yeah.
So which guy sacrificed more?
Christian Bale's character. I don't know if
for living half a life.
So I don't know if it's.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's sacrificed, but lost more, because he lost Sarah, right? He lost his brother. He, well, this isn't lost, but sacrificed half of his life basically. So I think there's less for his character than there was for Angier's character, because he only lost his wife.
So the question was, who lost more or who sacrificed more?
Who sacrificed more for their trick? So basically,
I feel
Borden sacrificed half of his life for his trick.
Yeah.
And obviously all the personal problems that came with that. And then Angier sacrificed his own life every single time that he did the trick, because he didn't know if he would be the man in the box or the prestige.
Yeah.
He never knew which one he would be.
But isn't that a copy? I have a question about the copies. Like, is it just the same him? Like, they both have the same memories, same feelings, all that, or is it just like
so.
Like, I don't.
That's the way.
Then why would it matter if
why
he died?
Because he never knew if he would be. That's what I'm saying.
Because then is there not two consciousnesses then?
That's what I'm saying.
It almost feels like there's one.
Yeah.
It feels like there's one until one is taken away, and then it survived. It's not really explained.
Yeah.
I think that's the part that's up for debate. But to kind of go back to, I agree. I think the person who sacrificed the most would be Angier. But I think the one who lost the most and sacrificed the most over the most amount of time was definitely Borden.
No doubt.
But, like, yeah, I mean, he killed himself for 100 nights in a row and then ended up dying. Like, I mean, his plan was obviously to just, because he was going to retire after that. He was going to be done. He was going to destroy it. He just wanted the fame and the glory, and then he was going to live the rest of his life and be fine. But, yeah, I mean, so, I don't know. That's kind of interesting.
Which magician had the better plan to get back at the other guy?
Borden.
Why?
So I think it was too complicated with, like, him and the brother, like, and them keeping it, like, the strategy of them keeping that a secret for so long and making it look like, which I think Angier's character, he just kind of went out and bought his success in a way.
Yeah.
Well, and he framed him, right? He had the water jug underneath there, and he knew that Warden was going to go downstage that one time, and so he framed him for his murder.
I don't think so. That's actually would have been something. I just didn't know how to frame the question. He did that every night.
Right, but the prestige...
Cutter's the one that caught...
But the prestige
Borden.
that night didn't come back out. Like, he always comes out of the balcony.
How would he have known, though?
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Because that's what I'm saying. Because sometimes he was the man in the box, and sometimes he was the prestige. And so that night he was the prestige, and he knew that Borden was down there for somehow he knew he was down there.
And maybe that's why that's with the same consciousness. Kind of, I don't know.
But anyway, that's just a fun conversation to have.
Yeah.
Hugh Jackman's best movie? Question mark.
No.
Logan.
Yeah.
Christian Bale? I mean, for me, it's not.
No.
This is hard for me, but I have this movie ranked higher than The Dark Knight or Dark Knight Rises. I think he's better in those two movies than he is in.
But I think he's been beder in other movies besides, like, Dark Knight and Batman, Dark Knight Rises and all that than this one. Crap, what was he? He was just in that Dick Cheney movie, right?
Vice.
I
haven't seen that.
I haven't seen that either.
I've heard it was good. I mean, he's done other movies like American Psycho that people say is...
The Fighter as well.
Fighter was a good movie. So, yeah, I mean, yes. Was this a good role? Yes. Top 5, probably, definitely.
Yeah.
Best, no.
Michael Caine?
No.
Chris Nolan?
No.
What's better?
Interstellar.
Dark Knight,
I think Interstellar is his best one. I have not seen Dunkirk.
Interstellar's, I think, my second highest Chris Nolan movie.
But yeah, no.
And then Dark Knight Rises. Better than The Prestige.
I think Batman Begins is even better.
So all three of those movies.
I think all three.
This is towards the bottom of my. If I had 5, it'd be like number 5.
I would say it probably because I think Inception's better too. Because this movie,
Inception is really good.
This movie, I was thinking about it. This movie was framed almost like Inception, because it starts off here and then it goes down a layer and then down another layer, and I was like, oh, this is pre-game for Inception.
All of his movies are pretty similar, and they kind of steal from each other.
Yeah,
they do. Dark Knight Rises kind of does the thing where it's like you got to pay attention to this the whole way, like with the autopilot and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So yeah, no, this is probably 5 or 6 for me of Chris Nolan movies.
What was the bigger surprise at the end of the movie the first time you watched it? The twin thing or the cloning thing?
Cloning. The twin thing wasn't. It surprised me, but it was very much of a. I had accepted it and moved on, and then at the very end of the movie, the first time I watched it, I was like, "Wait, what?" And then it ends.
It's like, missed that part.
Yeah,
no doubt.
I'm the same. I started to suspect the twin thing about probably a little less than halfway through. I was like, I think there's something going on here with something twins look alike or
everything.
But mine was all the cloning and.
See, to me, so there's so many hints for both.
Oh yeah,
the Fallon hints are there.
Well, I mean,
throughout.
There are shots where it shows him like right in the face, and you're like, "Oh yeah."
Well, they show you the engineer at the freaking beginning with the top hats.
Right. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Like they lace the top hats thing throughout, and he literally goes down and picks up like 25 hats in the middle of the movie. He's like, "Which one's mine?" He's like, "They're all yours."
Yeah.
And that's a huge giveaway.
Yeah.
But we never make that connection. And at the very end, you're like, "Okay, the twin thing. That was a pretty cool ending."
Yeah.
And then it ends, and you're like, what? Like for me, that was that second reveal. That was the thing that got me to watch it again.
Yeah, and I mean, even though he did it earlier and shot the other copy, the thing at the end was still more frightening. Is not the shocking. Revolutionary. Than for me, it's the the cloning thing.
Gosh, man, I remember watching that movie and I was like, okay, I gotta watch this again for sure sometime eventually.
Just kidding, right now.
And then he was like, I'm a twin. And he explained everything. And I was like, oh my gosh, I missed all of that. And then I was like, okay, that's pretty cool. And then literally the movie ends, and I was like,
wait, what?
What? Like, what just happened? And then I was like, okay, I gotta watch it again. So I watched it again. But
yeah.
Favorite scene, line, moment in the movie?
My favorite line is very much when Tesla's talking to him about it, like, oh, I can build it, and I've already started building it, but think of the cost.
Mm-hmm.
And Hugh just doesn't get it. And he's like, money is no object. He's like, I understand that, and that's great, and I'll take all your money, but think of the cost.
Have you considered
the cost?
Yeah. It's a great line.
That's one of the great lines for me. A lot of, and I feel like this is another thing that Chris Nolan keeps hiring Michael Caine for, and he gives him like the best lines of some of the movies, where he's just talking through like the whole thing, the whole pledge, turn, prestige. Like, I love that stuff too.
Dude, that's one of my favorite parts about the whole movie is that he opens and closes it with that.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then he opens and closes it with the "Are you watching closely?"
Mm-hmm.
Because literally that's the first thing that we hear when the movie starts, and we don't pay attention and we don't listen.
No.
And Michael Caine even says, "You watch, but you don't watch closely because in your heart you really don't want to know because you want to be fooled." And it ends, and you're like, he's so right. I was so wrong. Like, you got me. Like, literally, like, this movie is a magic trick. It's, like, all a metaphor for itself. It's like, oh, dude, it's just so good. Favorite movie or favorite line?
Favorite scene is where they figure out that the Tesla's machine actually works. Where he goes out and, the top hats and the cats. And I don't know. For me, that was a big, like, it works. Oh, my gosh.
Yeah. It works, just not the way they
thought.
It's
nothing too deep or anything. It's just,
I love when Tesla leaves him the note and he warns him one more time. He says, I would take this and I'd put it on the bottom of the ocean.
Yep.
And then he's like, yeah, I'm just going to use it. Yeah. Top 5, top 10, top 15, top 20, top 25 all time? Anywhere on there? Or is somewhere in there?
Luke, you answer, and I'm going to pull up my list.
I think this is top 25. I don't think it's towards, it's not towards the higher end. But it's closer probably in between 20 and 25. But I know, I really.
So that would mean that you have 5 Chris Nolan movies in your top 25?
I'd have to sit down and look. That's like we need to do like an updated top 25 thing again.
Yeah, we may have to do that as like a bonus feature or something.
That'd be fun. Okay, so where does Chris Nolan rank overall?
Directors?
Top 3, top 5. I think one of our top 5s in the next month or so is top 5 directors. But
why is this not numbered?
I can tell you he's not number 1 for me.
Okay. Who's
I'm not gonna tell you because we're gonna do top 5 directors, right?
So where's he at? Top 3, top 5, top 10.
He's definitely top 5.
Okay.
I'm not gonna tell you where within.
Well, to answer your first question, Prestige is number 14 on my list
Currently.
Okay.
And
I feel like that's right. Maybe it could bump up to the 10, but maybe not.
Okay.
Chris Nolan. I'm gonna really have to think about it, but I would say he's either a 5 or like a 5, 6, 7, and top directors.
Because I know my number 1. I'm like, for sure.
Okay.
I would have to think about it. It's not really something I've ever thought of. I know ones that I like.
Right.
Like, I mean, like, yeah, Tarantino, Spielberg, James Cameron, you know, like the huge names and things like that. But where would I really rank them? I can't. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just for me, which it's pretty obvious at this point, but nobody else has a lineup like his. If you sit down and think about it, like Spielberg, maybe.
Look at my number 1, and we'll talk.
Yeah,
Spielberg, maybe. And I think I know who your number 1 is, but
well, yeah.
I want you to take a guess. I'm not gonna say anything.
I'm not gonna even guess, but
It's Tarantino.
No.
I'm just saying. Prestige, Memento, Inception, Interstellar, Dark Knight Rises, Batman Begins, Dunkirk. Those are 8 really, really good movies.
Some people argue that Dark Knight Rises isn't that good.
People are crazy.
Some people argue Rise of Skywalker's not that good, so let's not get into that.
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
A lot of people argue that.
I'm just saying his ratio.
He does have a good ratio.
Is insane.
Yeah, I mean,
and
I'll
his
agree.
high-end movies are insane.
I'll agree, but I mean, I feel like the top 25 or top 10, the top 5 lists are times for me to be less critical, and so I'm going to be more honest and say which ones I enjoy more rather than
when
who
are we
makes
doing
the better
directors?
movies. I don't remember.
It's in the next month or so.
Yeah, it's. I think it's coming up pretty quick.
Yeah, it's pretty
okay.
soon. We're doing actors, I think, next week.
I think so.
Okay, so that's all I have as far as questions and things go. I watched this movie the other night for the first time in probably, I don't know, a year or so.
Yeah.
Dude, it's so good. It is so good. I'm glad y'all liked it.
Oh, yeah.
Fun movie. Next week, we're doing 1917.
Yep.
We're going to go see it this weekend. Comes out this weekend here in Oklahoma City, so we're going to go see it, and then we'll record hopefully early next week. I get that.
Apparently, that's really good. So,
but dude, apparently everybody loves it. Like all the critics love it.
All the people that saw it starting Christmas Day.
Dude, yeah, people are all about it. So I'm excited for that movie a lot. It'll be really fun.
Yeah,
well,
for real.
Do we have anything else, boys?
I don't think so.
All right. Well, we got a big year planned, guys. We're excited. We'll catch you next time for episode 34. Make sure to watch 1917. If you don't listen to next week's episode. Listen to this week's episode and watch The Prestige.
Prestige.
Peace out.